Recording. Great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming this morning to the Healthy Urban Tree Canopy Program Year 2022 Awards Reimbursement Policy Webinar Workshop. So this is a webinar style. And before we do introductions, just a couple of notes that if you have any questions as we go along, please use the chat or the Q&A function. We'll be following along with that. And also we are recording this webinar, as well as we will post the PowerPoint onto our website later today or by tomorrow, by the end of the day tomorrow. So all of this will be available for you if you forget some of the nitty-gritty details that we're going to go over today. So I think I want to start by sharing, I'll start with introductions while we're all on here. So my name is Allison Ball, and I am a planner with the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission and one of the grant administrators of the Healthy Urban Tree Canopy program. So Jared, you're next to me on my screen.
All right, Jared Bartley, I'm Deputy Director for Education Watershed Programs at Cuyahoga SWCD. We do also on the program team for this grant, and we handle the monitoring, which we'll talk about in a lot more detail. I'll pass along as Susan's next on mine.
Oh, okay, thanks. Hi, Susan Infeld. I manage special initiatives at the County Planning Commission, and that includes overseeing the administration of all grants that we administer on behalf of other agencies, and I'm also part of the planning team for this grant. And I guess I'll call on Robert next.
Good morning. I'm with the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. I'm the Watershed Program Manager. And Mike?
Mike Foley, I'm the Director of Sustainability for the county. And Kristen?
Hi everyone, Kristen Hall. I'm the Executive Director for Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District. Apologies, my camera is off. I'm not feeling very great today, so I'm going to be in the background here. But Jared will be handling all things from our perspective, so you're in good hands. Thanks.
Great. And our last team member who couldn't be here this morning is Valerie Katz, also working in sustainability. So, and now I just want to make sure that all the awardees are represented today. So I'm going to do a quick run through. If you can raise your hand or do a thumbs up. If you look down at participants, you can there's on the toolbar, there's a raise hand. So if somebody is from Maple Heights here, great. Western Reserve Land Conservancy, great. Euclid, City of Euclid, excellent. Parma Heights, Parma Heights, are you here? Joe Sebis, you on? Okay, I think he actually said good morning in the chat, so I know he was here. Cleveland, City of Cleveland, are you here? Let's see. Great, thank you. Lakewood, City of Lakewood, you represented, excellent. City of Brooklyn, thanks. City of Lyndhurst. Okay. Slavic Village Development. Somebody here from Slavic Village Development.
It's in the chat. She has posted.
Okay, great. Thanks. Midtown. Thanks, Samira. Okay, Glen Willow. City of Glen Willow. Jeremy, Sam, Jason. Great. Lakeview Cemetery Foundation. Marilyn and Leah. Bedford, City of Bedford. City of Bedford here. Yep. Okay, see that. I didn't see anyone from Bedford. Fairview Park. Great, thanks, Monica. Bay Village. Oh, Catherine, thank you. Old Brooklyn Community Development. Thanks, Hope. Brook Park. Paul, excellent. Hunting Valley. Thanks, Don. Strongsville, City of Strongsville. Thank you, Jennifer. West Creek Conservancy. It's West Creek Conservancy
Or
here.
Valley View, I guess that'd be Valley View. If they had somebody.
Yeah, Valley View. Thank you. Ah, there it is. Great, thanks. North Royalton. City of North Royalton. Thanks, Tom. Bedford Heights. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Woodmere, Village of Woodmere. Okay, thanks, Joe. Sebis, I see that. Thanks, Frank. And Brecksville. Great, excellent. Everybody is here. So let's get started. Some of you are already familiar with this program, and we always work to improve the processes. So I thank you again for coming back. And so this is the awards reimbursement policy workshop. So this is public money, and there's a lot of steps to take to get reimbursed for this reimbursement grant. So here's the agenda today. We already took care of the welcome and introductions. We're going to do an overview of the program year 2022 or round 3 of funding awards. And then we're going to talk about the nitty-gritty of what happens when you win the grant, the project agreements, the work plans, project monitoring, reimbursement requests and quarterly reports, the scope change request, and project closeouts. And then afterward, we'll have a moment for Q&A. So this year we had 39 applicants apply for over $1.5 million of funding. And we awarded 27 projects, and that is in conjunction and thanks to our partners at the Cleveland Tree Coalition. So, and in the city of Cleveland, we have a couple of grants here, and they are outlined by their statistical planning area. And again, we were able to identify the locations because we were looking at the census block grants. So of those 27 projects, 4 include a planning component and 23 are planting projects, and some of them are coming back to implement planning projects that were already funded. The planting is over actually 3,400 trees. There is some wiggle room. We're working with some revising some of the grants, so we'll have a better idea after the project agreements are in. So the exciting part, my project is awarded. What are the next steps? So first of all, I don't expect you to remember everything today. You're going to want to come back to this webpage, excuse me, that we've developed, the project management information webpage. So we'll go over that. We're going to talk about the project agreements and how they may be a little bit different for those of you that have already worked with us before. Monitoring of projects, this is required in order to be reimbursed. Acknowledgements, reimbursements, reporting, scope change forms, and closeout forms. We're going to have a long paper trail for all of this. So, and here is this year's Healthy Urban Tree Canopy Project Management Information webpage. We have the links on all the slides, so when you come back, you can link directly to it. And I'm going to take you to the web page afterward instead of just switching screens all the time. So, but all of this information will be included in that. So first you have to sign the Healthy Urban Tree Canopy Project Agreement. First of all, when we sent out your letters, every project that came in, whether it was funded or not, was assigned a project ID. And it's a 3-letter code that correlates to your community or your nonprofit organization, dash the year, which is 2022, and we only had one project from every applicant. So every project ID is your 3-letter code -22-01. So we're going to require this a couple different places over and over again, and in any email correspondence. So we know what we can just pull up your file and be ready to communicate with you. Project agreements, those I'm going to show you where the link is for that, and I will send out a copy of that after today to confirm your attendance here. They must be signed by the grantee and submitted within 60 days of the award announcement. So in that case, it's June 10th. So awards will be rescinded for any projects in which the project agreements are not submitted by June 10th, 2022. We realize that some of you may have to go through council to get that signed, but we can't let these languish and wait 6 months for these. So 60 days, otherwise we're going to go down the list. So we'll need a detailed work plan, an approved budget, which is the Appendix A, and we're going to go through all this in the subsequent slides, as well as the planting plan and specifications. So here's a copy of the project agreement. Not really, it's several pages, but I have the first page and the last page. This is a fillable PDF now. We have it all highlighted where we need you to fill it out. And this year, all project agreements will be effective starting April 12th, which is tomorrow. This shows that you've been here and understood all these policies, and then you're going to read through and see these policies written down. And then you can sign it and send it back. There's one more section that you have to fill in your name and organization, but like I said, it's all a fillable PDF and highlighted where we need your information. And again, we'll have the link if you can't find it or you lose the email, you'll be able to find another copy of it. So the next form is, I believe it's called Attachment A when they send out the packet. Although again, there's a link to the form itself separately. And this is your project work plan. This is a little similar to page 4 of your application where you put the date and activity. However, here you're going to put your project ID code. We're also asking if you already know, for those of you, some of you might have to go through a bidding process, but the name of the planting supervisor and contractor and contact information of the planting supervisor contractor, that's for the monitoring. And then also we'll need to know if you do require soil and water conservation district approval for the activities. And Jared will talk a little bit more about that. So same thing with the next piece of information you need to submit with your project agreement is the project expense worksheet. So this was Appendix A in your application. I've been in touch with a couple of applicants and asked for some revisions. So, but this needs to be submitted as an Excel form. When you submitted it with your application, it was a PDF, but now this is the Excel form is going to become the basis of the grant tracking. So please send it as the Excel and not a copy or a PDF. Also, you'll notice on the blank that is posted on our website that these values are and equations are already put in there, so you don't have to do any math. The Excel does it all for you. So, and then again, any planting plans and specifications that you have, please attach those to the application as well. So that again goes to the monitoring of the projects, which will bring me to the next slide and the next speaker, which is Jared. And I'm going to put myself on mute for 2 seconds.
All right. So as far as the monitoring of the planting and the execution of the projects, a few things. So we need to know basically who the firm or the people contracted for the plantings are, or if this is going to be the service department staff. Basically, we need to know who we can contact if we're trying to find the planting, the work that's being done that day, how we can get a hold of that and find that. Also, we need to be contacted 72 hours in advance of planting day so that we can get somebody scheduled to go out and monitor the tree planting or installation. We know that nursery availability and contractor schedules can shift around, but we really appreciate if you say, hey, we think it's going to be sometime this week, and then we can firm it up later. Stuff gets switched around, but just so we can kind of know to block out that time on our calendar. To do that, please email me at the email address shown here on the slide. Next. So one of the things that Allison mentioned we are requesting or requiring is that you submit your planting plans with your project agreement. We will review those and approve them. The plantings must be done in accordance with these reviewed and approved plans. If they're not planted, mulched, everything in accordance with these approved specifications, you will not receive a reimbursement until any corrections are made. Any of those corrections or replanting costs are the responsibility of the grantee or the contractor, depending on how your contract language is set up. And we have just have additional information at our website at the link there on some of the basic background tree planting kind of specifications, guidelines, those kinds of things. Next. So just some example, I know a lot of the people on the grant right now are not the people who are going to be administering this, but the kinds of things that we are looking for. Some of the biggest issues that we tend to find are trees are not planted at the right depth or height. So they're either planted, they're usually planted too low, or also the burlap, wire cage, things like that are not removed from at least the sides of the balls of the ball and burlap tree. So these are things that we'll be watching for. And then in addition to, on the next slide, the volcano mulching, that's a big no-no. That'll be not approved right away. Have a better example there on the left of the slide. Kind of, we want the donut, not the volcano on the mulching here. So it's very important for the survivability of the tree that root flare is exposed to the air. So it's one of the things we'll be looking at. And we know sometimes when the installations are happening, planting's happening one day, mulching's maybe coming a couple of days later, we will go back out and review the mulch if that is the case. And generally on these, you know, you're planting 200 trees, maybe we're not going to watch you plant all 200 trees. We're going to be out there at the beginning, make sure the service department staff, or other city staff or contractors are doing the installation correctly. And then, you know, we'll be out later in the planting for some spot checks and things like that. But that's why it's important that we communication about when and where plantings are occurring. Go ahead.
Great, thanks, Jared. So we are flying through. This is great. So new this year is acknowledgement of the Healthy Urban Tree Canopy Project. Are you going to be on TV? Are you putting out a press release? Even social media tweets? The organization is required to acknowledge the Healthy Urban Tree Canopy Grant Program funding and the financial support of Cuyahoga County. So, and here we have a link, the logo, because the acknowledgement must include at a minimum the Cuyahoga County logo and a credit line that the organization name or program name is supported in part by the residents of Cuyahoga County through a public grant from Cuyahoga Healthy Urban Tree Canopy Program. So this includes websites, social media, event programs, educational materials, promotional materials, research papers, media interviews, signage, annual reports, and benefits, events, and fundraising. So we appreciate the acknowledgement, and we're working with this as partners. So reimbursement requests. So this is a little different. Reimbursement requests this year will be monthly. Again, we tried quarterly, and it is the costs come in over the months, and if you have all the required materials, just send them in month by month. And that way we can get the money back to you quicker. We'll have you send all reimbursement requests via email to both myself at aball@Cuyahoga County US, and carbon copy the email to Susan Infeld at sinfeld@cuyahogacounty.us. Please identify the project ID number specific to your grant and reimbursement in the subject line. An example is map 210101 May reimbursement. The request for reimbursement will be processed by the county on a monthly basis and expect payment in 45 to 60 days. Here is a copy of the reimbursement request form. So this is very similar to last year. And you know, you itemize your both your expenses that are being reimbursed and your match. And we also have a reimbursement request and quarterly report procedures document that outlines, again, everything that we're saying today, and everything that will be on the webinar and in the slideshow uploaded to the website, as well as this. And again, we have the website for you if you're looking for where to find that exactly. So for reimbursement, what you'll need are project invoices from the contractors. Receipts and invoices should be initialed and dated by the applicant grantee's finance department. A proof of payment to the contractors that can include a canceled check or a statement of goods receipt showing a zero balance. If applicable, timesheets for any hours claimed, which show actual hours worked and hourly rates. You can account for matching funds pledged, itemize the matching funds in the reimbursement request, and include supporting documentation. Provide payroll record showing hours worked, alternatively a signed and dated certified letter signed by the fiscal officer is acceptable. So we have some examples. Again, we're looking not just for the check that you paid, but that it's been canceled. Some of your supplies might come in with a bigger order, so you'll need to identify what you're being reimbursed for. You can't expect us to review a larger order and say, oh, that's what they were looking for. So please highlight that. Whoops, again, you can even, sometimes it doesn't say what it's for. Feel free, you can annotate any of the receipts. Here again, this is a larger invoice where some of it was a matching kind. Definitely let us know what you're asking for as grant and what is considered match. And again, I have some different examples. I don't have a payroll for you, but here's some letters showing hourly rates and hours. Again, we can't express this enough, that when we're looking at the hours documented, it should be the payroll record or on company letterhead signed dated, and it can be both. We've gotten that before. And again, hourly rates can be verified in payroll sheet sent on December 22nd. And again, if it's sent by somebody else because you're not allowed to view that, let us know who sent the email. That's really important for tracking all of this. So progress reports, we are requiring these every quarter. Now, there's a lot of grants that are strictly planting, and you may not be planting in the winter months. So on lesson learned, so this worksheet was amended to include, are there any activities to report this quarter? So if no, just check no and email it off, leave everything else blank. If yes, certainly check that off too. And these are radio buttons are circled in red, so this is required. You cannot send it in without clicking one of these. And so we also will have a schedule, which I realize is at the end of the PowerPoint program, and we'll give you 2 weeks after the end of the quarter to submit those, fill that out and submit those. And again, here's the larger, it's a 2-page the date, the activity. This year, and that's very, very small, but again, you'll be able to see it. It asks if the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation approval was needed. So it's yes, no, or AA. Was it already approved? If the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District goes out there in fall or spring, and then the subsequent season, they know your planting techniques, they know your contractors and supervisors, they may say, hey, you're good to go. We were really impressed. And then in really tiny print, it says include date of email sent. So this year we're asking Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation to send an email to you and CC myself and Susan that everything was approved, and then we'll just automatically put that into your reimbursement files. So at the very bottom here, before I move on, are you closing out the report? So if so, check that, because there's some other items that need to be submitted. So the grantee must include a final reimbursement request, meaning that once that's paid off, there's nothing else that you'll be asking for. A final quarterly report. In addition, a summary report includes a narrative that describes all the project's highlights, not just for the quarter, and a plan of post-grant activities to ensure the health of newly planted trees. So here is a copy of the Healthy Urban Tree Canopy project closeout. So again, you made a guesstimate or an estimate, and you may have some outstanding grant funds, and this you're signing off that you do not need those. And again, this check that you have all of the supporting documents for the closeout. And once again, here we have the website, so you can access that. Moving on, we know that all the best plans have changes and surprises, and the weather for planting, supply chains, anything can come up. But again, if you have a big change, maybe in schedule, you need to change the season, we're going to require that you submit this change request form to be approved. If you have extra money because your estimates were a little higher and you want to plant more trees to use up those remaining funds, we're all for that. Let us know, and you might need to attach a revised work plan or materials to compare to original submission, explain why, or explain the changes and explain the justification, and then we'll review it. We'll accept it or reject it. We may have some comments about needing to finish a certain time or whatever, some certain parameters, depending on what the change is. And we'll get this back to you. And of course, keep a file and a copy in your file, not a file in your copy. So that's it. Moving on, we did ask about this interesting opportunity for the Cuyahoga Healthy Urban Tree Canopy Project Tree Mycorrhizae Inoculation Research. We had such an overwhelming response, but I'm going to turn this over to Robert Brand, who is coordinating this research project with the Holden Forest and Gardens.
Thanks, Alison. Yes, thanks to all of those that volunteered their trees. We had a total of something like 2,800 trees. And logistically, we're not going to be able to do all of those, but we will let you know, we will let the recipients know which they are. The aim of this is to see if inoculating the new trees will improve the growth and the survivability. Because this hasn't been done in an urban area, it's an interesting experiment. The methodology will be, we'll get into that in a little while. You can see the photograph in the middle. Those are little envelopes that hold coins. Thanks. And what happens with this is we will collect the soil from the forests. It'll be dried and sifted. and put into those envelopes. And the amount of soil, it's about a tablespoon. You can see the person on the right there is busy inoculating the trees. And don't be concerned if you've got a burlapped tree. If it's bigger than the 3-gallon pots, we will increase the amount of inoculant as needed. And please, we need to know at least 2 weeks in advance so that this can be done. You do not have to do it. We will do it. Holden Gardens and Arboretum will do it. I will assist them where I can. And for those of you that are not sure what mycorrhiza are, if you look at the slide on the left, that white covering are the actual fungi which wrap around the roots of the plants. Alison, next slide, if you would. Thank you. So there we go, 2,853 trees. That's a lot of trees. We will let you know, we're selecting a methodology. We will let you know which of the recipients we'll contact. We also need trees that are not going to be inoculated. And that, as you see, please provide advanced notice. We need 2 weeks because there are a lot of the trees. So we need to be able to organize the logistics. And most important, we need a map of the tagged trees. And both inoculated and uninoculated trees will be tagged with different colors. We do need to know the trees that are not going to be inoculated because we need those as controls. And we also need access once the trees have been planted for the next 2.5 years. We need to know we have access to the sites so that we can go back and measure the various parameters. There's not much, just height and trunk diameter. So we need to know that on an ongoing basis, on an ad hoc way, we can access the site. If there are any other questions, you can put them in the chat or we can answer them at the end of this. Thanks, Alison.
Thank you. So, and as Robert said, that again, if you are the two mapping things, this is, I believe, done in a tree tracker, the one on the left, or you can print out either Google Earth or Google Maps and mark it up for them. So if you have the inclination, the mapping is and tracking is one of the most important parts of this project. I mean, it's nice to get the inoculant, but the follow through. So if you're more inclined, send an email and we'll let them know as well. And again, any communication once the projects are selected will be through Holden, but we will be CC'd so that we're just aware of what's going on and who's participating. So here is the 2022 reimbursement and reporting schedule. This will also go on our website. It's not on there yet, so it doesn't have a website yet, and we can always amend the PowerPoint to include that when we get that all lined up. But the important dates in bold is June 10th, 2022. Again, project agreements are due. Anything after that will not be accepted. Then for reimbursements, that's monthly. I wasn't going to put the whole calendar. Again, if you did the work and you have all the paperwork in May, submit it. If it's June, submit it. You know, we're going to leave that up to you. We don't want incomplete reimbursement packets. That we prefer them to be complete. So there's a little bit more flexibility. But however, when it comes to your end of the year reimbursements, this October 31st deadline is really important. It's the last day for reimbursement request to be honored in 2022. So, and again, same thing for 2023. But again, in the 2023, this is when the program year concludes. So that's the 18 months from that April 12th deadline. So that is the run of this project. The quarterly reports, whether it's filled out with attachments to pictures and information, or if it's just a check, again, like I said earlier, we'll give you 2 weeks at the end of the quarter to round up all your materials and submit them. So that's the 15th, the 14th, the 13th, the 14th. For some reason, the 15th always falls on a Saturday or Sunday. So it isn't uniform, but again, there are the dates. So now I hope that this makes sense to you and that everything is seamless, and we'll just check on
I
some
do
of
have
the
a couple of
questions.
questions, Allison.
Okay,
So relating to the project agreements,
uh-huh.
so Ed asked, there was a resolution passed by Euclid City Council authorizing the city to apply for the grant. It was authorized before we applied. Will this suffice as an action from council for the acceptance of the project agreement?
Sure, but he would need to double check the language in that. Does it say authorized to apply and go into project agreement? And he would have to check with his municipality, their legal, you know,
But
because
we're okay with it if you
yes,
are.
but yes, exactly. Thanks, Jared.
And then just other thing, just clarification on the reimbursement request. They don't need to submit one every month if they didn't have anything.
No,
It's just when you have something
Right.
reimbursed. And then related, you know, a question about if they could just submit one final reimbursement request at the end, if that's okay. They just hold on to everything and then submit reimbursement at the end.
that should be okay, I believe.
fine, yeah.
Susan, that's okay? Thumbs up from Susan?
I'm, about the reimbursements.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason, well, let me back up a minute. The reason why it's monthly is just to make it easy for all of the applicants or all the awardees. But then they still have a little bit more time with the quarterly reports. The reason for those hard stops is because it's going to take the county that long to process it in that year. So does that answer the question?
But they can hold all their receipts and submit it as a lump sum at the end of their
Oh,
project.
certainly,
Yes.
certainly, as long as they have the matching documentation.
Yes.
But
Okay.
sometimes, you know, if they don't, and if they've held on to it for 18 months, it might just take a little bit more work for their finance department to uncover it. But yes, they can certainly submit it all at once at the end.
Great. Thanks, Susan.
Sure.
There's another question about when will they be notified about the mycorrhiza research project, about if they're participating or not.
Robert.
Selected.
Yes, let me, got that covered. The camera, that is. We will have a look at the locations, the numbers of trees, and the logistics for us to be able to get to all of these trees and let you know. I can't give a hard and fast date. We need to know 2 weeks before you want to plant the trees, but off the top of my head, I'd say within a month, we'll have a list of those who we will ask to participate, to have their trees inoculated, or as part of the control, they'll just be marked because they won't be inoculated. But we can send an email as soon as we have a date.
Great.
And then we have another
Thanks.
question about if they can order trees before the project agreement is signed and returned.
You can order the trees, but the
I don't think you can
payments,
pay for them. I don't think you can pay for them until.
you can't pay for them before. Yes.
That's all right, Susan.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Kristen Hall raised her hand.
Hey, maybe just a quick question. Allison, I caught when you were going over the project agreement that it technically starts April 12th.
12th, yes.
So in theory, later this week, folks could order their trees. But again, we just want to wait until the agreements are in place for payments,
Mhm.
just so that should anybody get audited, you're not spending money that you don't technically have signed off on. Correct?
Correct. And it has to do with the, for a municipality, the legislation that authorized their participation in the project. As Allison had said, Sometimes the legislation will include the ability to apply for the grant and then to accept the money and to begin the work. But sometimes some municipalities might split that up into 3 different steps. So before any ordering happens, make sure if you're a municipality that you check with your finance director to make sure that that the authorization was in place so that that project agreement can be signed. But the safest thing to do is get that project agreement signed. Once the date on that agreement is put in ink, you will be you'll be okay to order after that. You know, Allison can explain further the tomorrow's date.
I was going to say that it's retroactive to that. So and again, I may have to check with the business office and get back to everybody on this question, but I believe that starting tomorrow is good. So.
Yeah, Joe just had a comment that the problem is the availability of trees. They have legislation already passed to process payment, basically.
Right. Okay. Is that a question from Joe then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Joe, I'll follow up with you. Somebody will follow up with you. I'm still out of town working remotely. So we'll make sure we get back to you as soon as possible on that. So other questions?
That is all I am seeing right now.
Okay, because I thought I saw a question about will the PowerPoint and video be available?
I answered that.
Okay, oh good, that will. But before everyone goes, they know this is great. I do want to stop sharing and just take you to the website. So I'm going to share screen again. And let's see. Okay, so share screen. Where is it? Okay, share.
While you're talking, there's a question about how do they find their project ID number? That would be in the project agreement, right?
No, it was
No.
in the letter sent to them on April 5th. Or yes, April 5th, Tuesday, April 5th. I sent out the letter. So it's in the email subject line and it's in the actual award letter. And again, if you don't know, actually maybe, let me write that down. We'll make a lookup table for you and add it to the project website, project management website, project ID lookup table. So, and once again, I want to just review. This is the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission homepage, and grant programs are at the very bottom of services. When you get to the grant programs, we have 3 main grant programs, and tree canopy program is in the understory. How ironic. So here it is. And again, this is just the cover page, but over here is your program year 2022. So, and the program background, the post-award timeline. Here is the project agreement link, the Appendix A project expenses worksheet, the detailed. So again, you might just use the original project expenses worksheet that you did for the application. Some of you are revising it, or if you need to do a schedule change, this will always be up here for you. Same thing with the detailed project work plan. So it might be a separate document, or it might be included as the Excel is not included as an attachment. I can tell you that, but here that's, you can see here's attachment A. And attachment B is just to show you what this reimbursement form looks like. And attachment C is the quarterly report. And that's because these are mentioned and in the project agreement. So we want you to see what everything is referenced in there. So go back. Again, all of these things are up here. We will also update this website with the webinar video and the PowerPoint. Here's the required acknowledgement, reimbursement procedures, the Cuyahoga County Soil and Water Conservation District in bold. Here's how to get in touch with them, and reminders and tips, and the quarterly progress report, scope change, project closeout. So if you can't find it right away, just keep scrolling down. Just read through the whole page. And then when you can't find what you're looking for, definitely let us know. So any more questions or comments?
I'm not seeing any new questions.
Great. Well, thank you all for your time. This was the fastest reimbursement awards workshop I've done in the history of these awards workshops of 2. So thank you so much. I'm going to stay on a little bit if you have any questions or comments, and just raise your hand and I'll let you into the chat and you can chat with us. So thank you for your time. You have more than an hour to fill out those project agreements and forms. We look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to working with you, and we look forward to restoring the Cuyahoga County tree canopy.
A new question just came in, Allison, about what type of acknowledgement is required.
So the acknowledgement of the name of the grant and the Cuyahoga County funding, and the wording is on the website and in the project agreement, and using our logo. I shouldn't say our logo, the county, Cuyahoga County logo, and the link for that is on the website. All right, I'm gonna stop recording. So great, thank you all for